SmackDown starts off with Trish Stratus. She ends up cutting a promo. She ends up cutting well, not a long promo, but longer than it needed to be. Then she calls out Tiffany Stratton. They do the same thing. They end up going back and forth, cutting a babyface promo. Then you end up getting Chelsea Green. She comes out for whatever reason. I don't understand. They exchange some words. She says some things that, of course, they don't like, which ends up setting a match between her and Tiffany. But it ends up getting interrupted by Candice and Nia. They end up attacking them and they end up brawling, and it ends in a standstill. Okay, I don't understand why this segment needed to happen, and I don't understand because first off, it started off with Trish Stratus cutting this weird babyface promo that felt so forced. Basically, she was talking about being in her hometown and how she loves being back. 25th anniversary. She ended up making a joke about a woman's father having a picture of her when he was younger, which I didn't understand why. It's just very weird. Trish Stratus may be a nice person in real life, but man, her as a babyface just feels so forced. It's ridiculous. Then you get Tiffany Stratton doing the same thing. They're both wearing some type of, I'm assuming it's a hockey team, I'm not mistaken, with their names on it. They're giving their shirts to the crowd. Like, they're doing this very forced babyface promo, which was very forced, and it was way too long. They both did this for like 10 minutes. And then Chelsea Green comes out for the last like 4 to 5 minutes talking trash, try to do this whole like American gimmick because she's the US champion, which also doesn't make sense to a degree. To a degree. And I don't understand why, because why is Chelsea Green trying to feud with Tiffany? I don't understand it. It didn't make sense. And then the whole thing was just to set up Nia Candice to attack Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton, but all you had to do was just have them come out together and shorten the promo and then have Candice and Nia attack them from behind and sneak attack. Why did you need the match? I don't get it. I don't understand it. It made no sense. But honestly, I don't even care because this segment was bad. This whole entire segment was bad. And I'm kind of over it. And I can't wait for this match to be over at the Elimination Chamber because I don't want to see Trish Stratus on my screen anymore. I just want the build towards Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. But yeah, this was terrible. After this, we ended up getting Andrade versus Jacob. Nick Aldis ended up making some qualifying matches for the U.S. Championship. He ends up picking six men. Each man going to have matches, which ends up culminating into a triple threat towards the end of the show. And whoever wins that triple threat ends up becoming the number one contender. Andrade versus Jacob. Originally, this was solo, but he ends up giving up his spot to Jacob, which I don't understand because you could have just had Jacob Fatu originally in that place anyway. And also, it makes more sense for Jacob to be in that spot because Jacob has done more than Solo has in the last few months, in the last few weeks anyway. So it made more sense. And plus, this didn't really further a storyline between them two. So I don't understand why you had to have Solo give it up. But Jacob Fatu picks up the victory. He advanced. He's going to be one of the men in Triple Threat. Then you end up getting, I think it was supposed to be a tag match between the Street Profits and Los Garza. It was a segment where Santos wanted an apology from the Street Profits because the Street Profits thought they attacked him, but the Street Profits refused the apology. Just leads to a tag match, but the match never happens because I forgot who. Oh, DIY attacked the Street Profits. Then this allowed Los Garza to attack DIY. Then Pretty Deadly comes out. Then Motor City Machine Gun comes out, and they all end up brawling. This was a solid segment. Now the crowd was dead for this, which was very unfortunate. They end up getting loud like towards the end, but for the most part, this was very dead. But I do like what they're doing here with all of them feuding, all of them attacking, because they all have reasons to not like each other. They all have attacked each other. They all cost each other matches. So I like what they heard. I thought it was a good segment, and I'm loving this new Street Profits. I love this more serious. This is the Street Profits that we should have gotten with Bobby Lashley. This is the version that we should have got with Bobby Lashley when Bobby Lashley was trying to be all serious, telling them to stop, playing games because they don't even celebrate their theme music. They just come and walk out to the ring. This is the version we should have got with Bobby Lashley, in my opinion. But I like the segment, but unfortunately, the fans wasn't really feeling it. Then we end up getting Drew McIntyre. He comes out. He ends up cutting a short promo. He ends up mentioning Cena, mentioning how Cena politicked his way to the Elimination Chamber, mentioning how he's not showing up, and mentioning how he's a hypocrite. Mentioning him going to Hollywood, mentioning, what he said about The Rock, over a decade ago. Then you get Damian Priest. He comes out. He ends up mentioning that Drew McIntyre, all he does is complain and whine all the time. And he ends up saying that you're upset due to your position in the WWE due to the year that you had. Then he starts, mentioning what he did in the previous year, mentioning getting cashed in on by him, mentioning try to cash in that Money in the Bank, but ends up losing because also he was obsessed with CM Punk. Constantly mentioned how he's obsessed with CM Punk and that he can't get over him. Drew McIntyre refused to acknowledge it, but then while Drew McIntyre was saying that, he was literally sitting down like CM Punk did in the pipe bomb, which Damian Priest ended up mentioning. Then you get Seth Rollins. He comes out. They end up doing, the typical thing where each member of each of the match comes out one by one. He comes out. He comes out mentioning, says a few words. Then you get CM Punk, who I'm not gonna say what he said, but he had the best part of this promo. Him and Damian Priest. He actually cooked all three of them for the most part. Besides Damian Priest, he doesn't have any like history with Damian Priest, so he didn't say much. But he cooked Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Then you get John Cena. His theme music hits, but it's no other than Logan Paul. And I'm going to be honest, I was so mad because I legit thought that John Cena finally appeared on TV, but it was Logan Paul. And just for that, I want Logan Paul to get destroyed in the Elimination Chamber. I need him to be the first one eliminated because, bro, oh man, the fact that he did that, it was great heel work, but man, I was so mad. But ends up ending with Logan Paul mentioning the slap of CM Punk, and CM Punk tries to chase him, but Logan Paul runs away. This segment was fine until Logan Paul came out because his promo was very off. It was very off and very just boring, and the he was trying to say things, but they just weren't hitting. They just weren't really hitting that much. It fell off a cliff once Logan Paul came. Once Logan Paul came out after the whole Cena thing, it kind of fell off a cliff. This segment was fine for what it was. It wasn't bad, but it was just kind of just okay. After this, we ended up getting LA Knight versus Santos Escobar, one of the qualifying matches to lead to the triple threat. I did not watch this match because we have seen this match like 4 times and it ends the same way every time. LA Knight advance. I'm not going to speak about it. After this, we end up getting Sami Zayn. He ends up cutting a promo. He ends up basically calling out Kevin Owens. He wants Kevin Owens to finally give his last words, but KO is not there. He's already at the Rogers Center, I think that's what it's called. He's on a Titantron. He ends up basically saying that everything that is going to happen is all because of you. He is not the bad guy. He is not the villain. This is all Sammy's fault. And he ends up saying that whenever he ends his career, whenever he's in a wheelchair, when he can't provide for his family anymore, when he said that he's not going to help his family, he is going to watch his family suffer, and it's all Sami Zayn's fault. Sami basically replies. He ends up saying that he is prepared to do whatever it takes to beat Kevin Owens, and that this is the end for them. I like this promo. This was really good. This is why I've been saying that they need a well, this wasn't really a face-to-face, but they need a back and forth where they're talking back and forth to each other. This was the best segment they had out of all their segments. I love what they did here. This was great. Don't really need to explain too much about this, but this was really good. After this, we end up getting the last qualifying singles match. Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Strowman. During this match, the Bloodline comes out and attacks Braun Strowman. Well, they tried, but they couldn't. It was Solo and Tama Tonga. I don't understand why. They have history with Braun, sure, but they don't have enough history for them to want to attack him. They don't have that big of a feud. I don't understand. It would have made more sense for them to attack LA Knight, if I'm being honest, because they have more of a history with LA Knight than they do with Braun, but whatever. I understand part of the reason why they did it to a degree, but towards the end of the match, it was very short. While Braun Strowman is distracted by the Bloodline, Carmelo Hayes get a chair, and then Braun Strowman gets back in the ring. The ref is distracted by the Bloodline. Carmelo Hayes ends up pulling an Eddie Guerrero, where he ends up slamming the chair, throws it to Braun Strowman, pretends he got hit, and Braun Strowman gets disqualified, which I thought was genius. I actually liked that. That was very cool. I like what they did there, and he ends up moving on to the final match, which ends up being a triple threat between all three of them, between Carmelo, Andrade, and Jacob. Oh, not Andrade. Between Carmelo, Jacob Fatu, and LA Knight. Then we end up getting a 6-woman tag match. Liv Morgan, Raquel, Roxanne versus Bayley, Bianca, Naomi. I'm not going to speak about this match, really. Roxanne pins Bayley, and then you get Alexa Bliss attacking Roxanne, which I don't understand why. I feel like Ready just put Alexa Bliss there just to have all 6 women in the Elimination Chamber to be on the show. But if I'm being honest, actually, you know what? I actually prefer this, actually, now that I think about it. Only because I would rather them do this than do the typical boring one person comes out, promo, next person come out, promo, next person I hate when they do that. It is so predictable, and I hate that set. So you know what? I actually prefer this over. Even though it makes no sense for Alexa Bliss to really attack Roxanne, I do like Roxanne getting the pin over Bayley. I do like that to continue that story. But Alexa Bliss showing up really didn't make no sense. Then we get the triple threat, number one contendership match. LA Knight picks up the victory. And I'm very confused because I don't understand why do we need qualifying matches if we were just going to run LA Knight again. Because if you really wanted to do this, LA Knight was the only one fighting for the US Championship anyway. Nick Aldis says that he was confused about who really deserves it. LA Knight is the only one who's been feuding with Shinsuke. Jacob Fatu has been fighting, but he wasn't fighting for the US Championship. Same with Carmelo. I would argue that Jimmy Uso should have been in this tournament over Santos. What has Santos Escobar done? So if we were just gonna do all this just for LA Knight to win, it's like, why do we needed this? This was just to fill up time. Let's just be honest. This was just to fill up time because they had nothing else on the show to fill it up because they have 3 hours to fill and they don't know what the fuck to do with 3 hours. So that's why they did this. But LA Knight is the number one contender. Hopefully he dethrones Shinsuke. After this, we get the main event. Start off with Cody and Michael Cole. Michael Cole was discussing about, the offer, everything The Rock could give Cody, but he ends up getting interrupted by The Rock sending Cody Rhodes a gift, sends him a nice truck with his logos on it. Then he pops on a Titantron, he's about to leave for Toronto, and he basically ends up saying that he knows Cody will make the right decision, becomes his champion, he would sell his soul, and then he ends up pulling out a belt similar to the belt he had last year to the road to WrestleMania that says Mama Rose, but instead it says Cody's soul, and then it says the date that Dusty Rhodes died. This was actually a solid segment. I like what they did here. He did ramble a bit but for the most part, I enjoy what they did here. I like the ending with the belt. The belt was really a nice touch. Cody is definitely declining now. Just off that belt alone, he declined because when he pulled out the belt, Cody had a certain look on his face. This episode was very, it wasn't bad, it was very mid, I would say. There's parts I like of this episode, but there's parts I also heavily didn't like. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with SmackDown. I'm hoping after Elimination Chamber, SmackDown picks up because man, these 3 hour shows are really starting to drag, and it's getting a tough watch. But you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.